Okay, we're back on, and we're going to continue on with Dalo now. He's some man, isn't he? He's absolutely brilliant. You could talk to him all night. Loves the hurling, so passionate. But we'll continue on, for another few minutes. And I want to talk about the Dublin stuff and the puntry as well. So we'll just wait for him to connect back in here. But hopefully you're enjoying the chat anyway, because I certainly am. We'll get him going here now. Here he is. I think Una will have to set him up again. Fair play to you, Una. There he is. But he's in flying form, like us all, the way we should be. But
we're back here the week.
I just gave Una a shout out. Fair play to her, looking after you again.
Yeah, whatever way you were going off the air there, I got a shout from the next room to say, "Daddy, get off live. The whole country is looking at your big baldy head." Jesus. Anyway,
you'll be doing your own live soon, so you will.
Oh, look at it. It's hard enough to do the podcast now with the examiner, I'll tell you. Great crack, though. I really enjoyed that, I have to say.
Right, well, I'm going to come to that because I want to talk to you about the punditry stuff there, the Sunday game. You wrote a brilliant article in the Examiner a couple of weeks ago about what exactly goes on behind the scenes, even though people think you're up there enjoying yourself in D4. But I just want to finish off the Dublin stuff because you mentioned there about might have been tough to get pitch and stuff, but you always said to me, John Costello was just amazing to have as a boss or CEO or whatever that they looked after you, and you built up such a bond as well with the players and the squad. I know we used to have Mick Harton in, and you always used to rave about you, the stories and the crack and all, but you built up such a brilliant bond with them.
Yeah, and I suppose it's a culture shock to both of us, I suppose, both the squad and myself at the start, Alan, because, different sort of maybe hurling values at the start. You come up from the country and you're different. You think it should be everything, but you soon realise football is the top dog in the capital, and you try and establish and accept that, I suppose. But first of all, I was very lucky with the team I got around me at the start with Richie and Hedjo, who were there right through with me. But at the very start, with Vinny Tehan from Offaly, and we got Jim Keelty as the physical trainer, and that evolved over the years. We got great people. Wound up with Tommy Dunn as our coach, who's the current tip coach, in 93 and 4 or 13 and 14. But yeah, great people around you really helps from the get-go. Denise Martin in doing the analysis for us, and we want it for nothing in that way in terms of gyms and all that. But yeah, as I said, the pitches were an issue. But look, that as the summer came around, you'd get in places anyway, But we made progress. The first target, I suppose, was to stay in Division 1 and beat a big gun in Wexford, and we managed to do that the first year. So yeah, slowly but surely, then we got. You get to know the boys, I suppose. And while the panel will always evolve if you're in a thing in 6 years, and some people would say it didn't evolve enough. But for me, we mentioned him earlier, the great Christy Ring. He had a famous statement, "Stick with what you have until you're better." And for me, that was always the way as a player and as a manager. If a fella was good enough, he should have that jersey until there's someone better than him to take it, You're charged every year with trying to win the league or the Leinster or the All-Ireland with your team, or the Munster in Clare's case, and you should be putting out your team to try and do that on a given year. For me, while you're always having an eye on the future and bringing young lads in to learn their trade, and if some of those young lads like a Danny Sutcliffe in Dublin came straight out of minor, and within a year Danny was on the team because he was good enough, so that happens, and that happened in Clare as well with the likes of Alan Markham. He would have come in, served his time for a year, and was so good that he was nearly Niall Gilligan the same way. So that happened, and but they were a great bunch of lads, they, as well as being great, committed guys who would give you everything, Alan. They suffered a bit like any team trying to make a breakthrough, like our own Clare team, with kind of yo-yo effect, a good day, a bad day, and maybe a good year, a bad year, a lot of people would say, but they'd give it everything. I could never ask for any more. Like, if I asked them to climb, and we did do, 1 year we were to go to Portugal, and that bloody plume came in the sky. Do you remember that thing? We wound up in Castlebar and up the top of Croagh Patrick, every man jack. They raced each other up to the top. Shane Ryan had come over from the football to the hurling at that stage, and he had the misfortune of taking on Niall Corcoran in a bet to know who'd be to the top of Croagh Patrick, and saying like a footballer would be way fitter than the hurlers. And he came out the wrong end, like Corcoran was like a Marine or something like that, you know what I mean? He left him. I think he beat him by about 6 minutes to the top, But,
really, yeah?
Yeah, they were great lads. Look at that was probably one of the best weeks we ever had. you
And
know, we won't.
how much Dale, I suppose, going from the experience you had with Clare, and you were saying earlier how you felt maybe at the start you were that bit inexperienced, just taking it over. You had the period out with the club teams, and then going in with the Dublin setup. Did you tend to you change your management style in any way, or what you learned from Clare, or had a different approach?
Yeah, I did. I suppose tactics were starting to come more in. I suppose famously with that Cork team in the mid-2000s, with that more of a possession game, Alan. But I always felt you really needed the type of player to play a certain type of game. You know, some lads aren't suited to the short passing game in hurling that we see an awful lot now with maybe the likes of Limerick. And maybe we didn't have that many, but we had certain guys, and we had, you know, especially when Conal Keeney came back from the football, you know, he was a marvellous hurler, and the whole confidence of Conal coming back, you know, the lift that gave to the boys to say, here's a footballer that had won maybe 5 Leinsters in a row, coming back to his first love, the hurling. And like, geez, that was an amazing lift in 11, like, you know, and it coincided maybe with winning the league in 11 and getting to the Ireland semi-final as well, which they hadn't been in since 61 either, and losing to Tip by 4 points, you know, in a great game, you know, which, you know, stuff like that just evolved for us. But I was way more experienced, you know. The 3 years in Clare had completely stood to me, and I wasn't worried really about media stuff like that. If, like, we talked about Gerard giving out about me and Clare, I can give a shite, like, Dublin, to be honest, like. And that was the beauty of being an outside manager as well. Like, I have to say, like, once I was past the red couch, or if the Evening Herald wrote whatever they wanted to write, and they were the worst of them now, in fairness to the boys in the Herald, they were always sound enough and had an old graph for the hurling. But sure, what happened behind you didn't matter all that much. You know, I was facing back to Clare, who didn't really, the people in Clare weren't too worried about Dublin hurling. Now, I got great support from Clare people until we met, and we met twice in Championship hurling, I suppose, and Clare won 1 and Dublin won 1, so I suppose all's okay that way. But it was the beauty of being an outside manager in some ways, but then after a while, when you stick with something, you kind of fall in love with the whole project, and the players become very close to you as well, and not too close. I'd have taken off and dropped any of them and did. You know, I had no problem with that, and if I thought that I was ever gone to that stage, I'd walked away straight away. You know, at the end of that season, I said, no, gone beyond. I should have taken off Conal Keeney. I should have taken off Dotsy. I should have taken off Ryan O'Dwyer. And if I thought that was the case, I'd have walked away. And I was always honest with myself. I think that way, you know.
Yeah.
I would be ruthless if I had to be. But again, my old adage of put out the best team and try and make the best changes you can on the day. That was the way I operated. And whoever was going the best in training, I would have felt would get their chance, and did get their chance. I mean, anyone that would have accused us of sticking with the same guys only had to look at young Sutcliffe. Like, Paul Ryan was in America my first year, and he turned out to be our free taker for the next 5 years. You know, so it was never a case of sticking with guys. But fortunately or unfortunately, they were the best guys. You know, fellas like Joey Boland, fellas like Alan McCrabb, you know, Mikey Carton, fellas like that, Stephen Heine, you know, they were brilliant players, and Peter Kelly, Johnny McCaffrey. So, you know, that was just the reality of the situation.
You spoke there, Dale, about like that they had some hard times, like I suppose your Clare teams starting off when you were a player, and they were looking for their breakthrough moment as well. Just how big of a breakthrough moment did you think it was when they won that Leinster title? I think it was a 52 years or something that had gone without winning one in 2013. I know you won the league in 11, but the actual Leinster title, and to win that must have been a hell of an achievement.
Yeah, and 11 was a huge breakthrough to beat Kilkenny in a final in Croker, and then to back it up by beating Offaly and Galway and Leinster and beat Limerick in the quarter-final, even though then we went down to Tip. Huge expectations for 12 and flopped again, like really disappointing stuff. In 13, you know, we got promoted back up in the league, and we got off to the constipated start down in Wexford. But then 5 magic weeks in a row, the replay against Wexford, a draw with Kilkenny, and everyone saying a pity, you got your chance, you didn't beat Kilkenny in a replay. Beat Kilkenny the following Saturday night in a replay, and then beat Galway by 12 points in a Leinster final the following 8 days later. I mean, dream stuff, like, you know. And like, we had an old little habit that I used to get the boys into, because there's a fabulous picture just at the top of the stairs in Parnell Park upstairs, where we used to eat after training, of the 61 team with the Lar Foleys and the Des Foleys and all the legends of 61 that lost the All-Ireland to Tip. And I used to tap that picture every night coming down the stairs. I said to the boys, tap the men of 61. We're going to be up there beside them someday. And I suppose a bit like Loughnane saying we'd win Leinster back in 95. Yeah. So the boys are probably saying this lunatic up from Clare, he's too long in the car thinking about stuff like this, you know. And Jesus, when it came through, like, and we were training for the All-Ireland semi-final, the amount of nights I'd say you needn't tip them no more now. We're going all the way, you know. We're going to win the All-Ireland, like, you know. So we had 5 weeks off then, I suppose, which wasn't a massive help, but I think we handled it fairly well, and we did play great stuff against Cork in that semi-final. But yeah, we didn't get the rub of the green on the day, and you know, like, again, fair dues to Cork, but I suppose the second yellow for Ryan O'Dwyer probably just hurt us very badly on the day, and we probably had a grip of the game, Alan, at that stage, and they got a grip subsequently, and they got a late goal to put a bit of daylight in it, but it was a real chance because it was a wide open All-Ireland with Tip and Kilkenny gone. Yeah. After the quarterfinals, I mean, it was ourselves, Cork, who, to be fair to even Jimmy Barry, was manager, would admit it wasn't their greatest ever team, and it was Clare and Limerick at the other side of it. So it was a chance for somebody to grab an All-Ireland, and there's no fluky All-Irelands, let me tell you. And ultimately, Clare came through the back door, losing in Munster, and subsequently beat Limerick and went on to beat Cork. Probably lucky the first day, but brilliant in the replay. And yeah, but it was one that Dublin might have won as well, and Limerick probably would have felt got away from them as well.
Because I remember watching the match, and as he says, you were playing so well, you were in total control. There was all the controversy over the second yellow, which I felt was harsh at the time as well. Just, I suppose, do you ever look back on that now and think, like, you mentioned there how it was wide open and you feel like it was the one that got away almost, and then I suppose to add on to that, you would have played Clare in the final. Imagine what that would have been like for you.
Yeah, and I was only watching a kind of a similar program to this early on the day today, and I laughed and sending out a private message to one of the presenters. He was saying, like, it would have been so weird for me to try and handle that if it had come about. Yeah. You know? But I would have handled that, no bother, to tell you the truth, Alan. Like, again, like that, like, go back to if you enlist, you must drill. Like, I couldn't become a Clare man again for the boys, you know. I had adopted their badge, and that was it. If we met Clare, now I probably would have moved to Dublin for a couple of weeks, I'd say, before the final, because it would have been very hard living around now. I probably would have moved up, I'd say, for the last week for sure. I got out of Dodge, like, because, you know yourself, Dublin can be so isolated, even though it would have been a massive occasion because the footballers were in the final as well. Because can you imagine if Dublin were going for the double, like, it would have been unique. But not to be, Alan. But, you know, while you regret things and you do look back and you're disappointed, and it's like everything in life, you know, we all make mistakes and do things we wouldn't be proud of if we could have our time over. And that's like life, and it's like hurling is the same, isn't it? Or soccer is the same, you know. You do things differently if you got a chance again. But I honestly wouldn't have done too many things differently in 13, to be honest with you.
Okay. But that's like everything. I often speak to people about that, Dalo, and I'd be of a similar mindset to you, that you'd never look back. And if you were to speak to 20 people in a room tonight and said you can change things when you're 18, every one of them would change them, no matter what job they work at. So that's just life in general. I suppose just on the management thing, coming so close, and I want to go into the media stuff because I know you love that and you enjoy that, you really do, and you're really good at it. And you might give out to me now, you might not give out to me here, you might send me a text later with the question I'm going to ask you now. Do you ever think there's any unfinished business with the management, or could you see yourself come back into it again down the line maybe?
There's hardly a day, I'd say, where I don't think about that, you know. Yeah, this year now, I was with Kilmacud for the last couple of years, and Jesus, we'd agony as well. The first year there, Bowden beat us in the replay. Again, wouldn't take it off Bowden, but it could have gone either way, you know. And then the great Coola team came back last year, and we had beaten them in the semi-final the previous year, so we got the backlash from them last year. So look, at the travelling for that was probably getting to me a bit. But yeah, look, I don't know. I'd never say never. But okay. I suppose the bit older you get, I suppose it does. You know, I didn't manage now since 14 at that level, and you'd wonder, would it be getting away from you? But yeah, I wouldn't rule it out anyway. You know, I just got involved this year with our under-21s, and we had started training in mid-November for the under-21 championship in Clare, which is the first competition in Clare. We were to Clare actually, I think, on St. Patrick's weekend, and lockdown came in that weekend. So all our few months hard work had gone out the window then. But no, look, still would love the smell of dressing rooms and being involved and the buzz. You know yourself, the best thing is playing. The next best thing is probably being involved. You know, punditry is probably a third. It would be the bronze medal for me on that, you know. But you can't be manager all your life either. Like, you know, I did 9 years in the county, which is a massive honour. Like, and I actually was never told to feck off out of a job either. I was able to walk away from both jobs. You know, maybe there was a few inklings in Dublin that there was a bit of unrest coming down the line, and I said I'd get out of here fast. I said, because the last thing, you know, we've all seen where players are unruly or starting to whinge. It never ends well then, doesn't it? You know, so yeah, I maybe got a smell. And look, at 6 years was enough anyway, really, at that stage with that same bunch of lads. Like, I mean, a new voice was needed really for them at that stage, you know.
It's a good stint, 6 years as a manager, and I'm delighted to say, and I've said this to you before, even off camera, I'm delighted that it still burns kind of inside you to maybe get back one day. I'd love to see you back involved sometime, and who knows in the future. But for now, you're comfy in that studio up there in Donnybrook, and Mike Clune is texting in there. He's a big fan of your Examiner podcast and your articles and everything. And the articles are brilliant as well, Dalo. That side of it, the punditry, you mentioned you had after the Clare management, you had your little spell and then you went into Dublin. Do you find now doing it, and I know you wrote the article a few weeks ago about your first few days up there, you're a lot more comfortable now in the chair anyway doing it?
Yeah. I mean, the big thing with it, as you know, is probably you are thrown in at the deep end, you know. You don't get too much training or that, and that's probably our easy. No, you sink or swim, and Jesus, my first night, like the boys and Cork leathered each other coming down the tunnel. It's like Pat Spillane was the Desi Cahill of the time, you know, like Pat had no great graw for hurling, let's face it, like, you know. Jesus. And Don Lovelady was on with me, and he was an old hand at this stage. I nearly died above in the studio to stop. But look, what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. And sure, look, we got a bit better, and definitely by 2008 I was way more comfortable doing it. And but then the Dublin team came along and I was gone. But then second time round, I think, you know, I just said, look, the thing here is to be yourself, really. There's no point trying to put on airs and graces and be something you're not. Like, I mean, I look at the hurling pundits that we have at the moment there, and it's a pretty diverse bunch of guys, like, in terms of the areas they're very interested in. So I'd be very much maybe different than Derek McGrath or Donald Logue. I'd probably be too like Jackie Tyrrell, maybe, you know. So they'd throw us in together as a different mix, and I think that works very well, you know. And I think we get more time now to express ourselves. We'd all love more time, Alan. I constantly hear this, like, you know, why didn't you show more the Joe McDonough matches? Jesus, Alan, I'd only love if there was a Monday night hurling. Do you know, and you watch what goes on there on the skies of this world and see the time the boys have to sit down and analyse and pick out the finer details. We get an hour's hurling maybe and an hour's football on a Sunday night. That's why the live game is so brilliant to be on for the live game. But at the same time with that, because it's live, you have the whole constrictions of the live, and eventually the Angelus has to come on and the news has to come on at 6 o'clock. So, but look, you have to think on your feet on the live game, where you know yourself with the highlights. It's a lot of it is pre-planned, but there's nothing like live TV either in the pre-plan. No,
live.
I mean, you can't allow for a fly landing on your forehead, Alan. You know,
the fly, that was brilliant. And I know you had a bit of crack on Twitter recently with it as well, but the live stuff, I much prefer the live stuff. We used to, now our show was going out late at night, 11 o'clock. We used to pre-record some of them. There's not the same edge, I find, when you're pre-recording. And when you're live, it's like, it's almost like you're gearing up for playing a match, you're ready, you're watching what you say. You know that once it's out, it's out. But I'm the same. I get such a buzz off it as well. But that's the one criticism that always people come back to. Oh, you never mentioned this and you should have said this, but they don't realise the time constraints on you. Like, and a fella's behind you saying, "Oh, wrap it up," and we've had enough, and come on.
Yeah, like, and there's even people in the studio making gestures at you to shut up. We have to go to an ad, like, you know. That's the reality of the thing, like, you know. And people don't. It was nice to get the chance to write the article about it, to be honest, because, you know, you'd sometimes think, now, on the subject of the pre-record, in the old days of RTE, in the 07, 08 time, the great Bill Lawler used to be there. He'd be often doing League Sunday, and, you know, you might be staying in Dublin for the night, and you might be anxious to get out for an old pint, Alan, and Bill would say, lads, we've time for a pre-record. Are you up for it? We'd say, go for it, Bill. It's only the National League. But now the pre-records are taking a pass really now with us, like, you know. It's never, there's nothing. It's sink or swim, really. It's great, though. It's, as you said, it brings its own edge, and you have to up your game and perform, I guess.
And to be on that show as well, Dalo, like, obviously the career that you've had, you've been so successful, winning All-Ireland's, captain All-Ireland's, all that stuff. But that show is an institution, really. Like, the whole country sits down on a Sunday night. Even though I'm soccer, as I say, I love Gaelic as well, and I'd sit down every Sunday, watch it. So you kind of feel as though the whole country's watching you. The eyes are all on you, like.
Yeah, there can be a bit of that, and I suppose it just takes time to get used to that. And you try and forget about it is the best way. Like, I suppose that was probably the most daunting thing I found back in 07 going on at first, that I had realised I had kind of grown up and, you know, been institutionalised by watching the Sunday game, like, you know, and all that went with it. And then you say all of a sudden, Jesus, I'm that fella now at home that's watching me, like, you know. So yeah, I suppose that got to me a bit, all right. But it was more the circumstances of the day, I think, that hit me that first night. But yeah, it is an institution, I suppose, the Sunday game, and that team tune, I suppose, will never be changed. I know one time they tampered with changing it. I think the whole nation nearly got up in arms that they wanted.
Did they? Yeah.
You know, like, so. Yeah, well, don't we all know it? You know, you'd come across young lads playing maybe inside in a garden when you're out for a walk these times, and you could hear them doing the music at a Sunday game, like, which sums up how much of an institution it is.
And then I suppose the stuff with the Examiner, the podcast is going great, Dalo. You like the articles, writing the articles as well. Probably a different kind of, obviously it's a different dynamic than the punditry stuff on TV, but because I used to write the columns on RT's website, and I got a major kick out of it, I have to say. I really liked it. Yeah,
it forces you to think, and especially, I suppose, in the current climate, Alan, like, would say, like, I'd have an article for last Monday, you know, and I did it on Cork, maybe, and maybe a little bit of the fallout from the strikes, and where Cork haven't won in All-Ireland in 15 years and that kind of thing. And I suppose last Monday I would have been writing about two matches in Munster, two epics, Cork and Limerick and Waterford hosting Tipperary, the All-Ireland champions. So what an easy article to write, really. You know, my piece would be a bit different than who scored what point, or, you know, my piece would be a bit of an analysis piece on who. But these are challenging times to come up with 2,500 words of a Monday, you know. So look, we get a bit of help and that kind of thing, and but you have to come up with the stories yourself, and even trying to get Monday's one ready now today, to be honest, like, it's taking quite a bit of time, and a good few read overs, and I better change that. I better take that out, because that fella'll shoot me, he'll never talk to me again, you know. And you still want to bring a bit of crack into it as well, which
of course,
you know yourself, you find that the fellas that you had the most crack with, you spent the most time with. But you can't keep telling the same stories about the same lads. So, like, you know, you don't want to be going too hard. And I suppose this Monday's one, to give it a slight preview, is about time spent on holidays and various trips away over the years that we were lucky enough to have, like, because, you know, that's like, I often think of some county teams, Alan, they never got a week in the Canaries, like, you know, and they're doing the same training as everybody else. And you probably look at the Dublin footballers and the Kilkenny hurlers of the last, you know, 15 years, and is there somewhere new they can think of going to, I say, at this stage, you know. Like Jackie Turtle told me one time, I think they'd been to Florida 3 times. And they were nearly sick of it, like, because
the novelty is worn off for them, like.
That's, well, like, you know, obviously there's only a certain window that you can go as well, December or January, because the season is back up and running. So for a bit of warm weather, there's only so many places you can go in as well. So I suppose, yeah, we were very lucky as well. We got great trips, amazing trips out of it. Even the training camps, well, they were taken desperately serious. There was some serious crack in them as well.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. Someone's after texting there. I'll let you go now in a couple of minutes, Daly. You've been great with your time. Have you ever heard in the States?
Once, Alan, and badly at that, I tell you.
Okay.
When we were beaten in '96, we were gone, of course, and out of the blue, a phone call came from New York to know would myself and Liam Doyle go over and hurl. Jesus, it was '95. I'll tell a lie now. It was after the All-Ireland in '95, and we won our first round, but we lost the second round in Clare. And Liam Doyle, the opposite wing back to me for Clare, my played on number 5 and I played 7. The Westmeads club in New York, great crew now though. Jesus, what a weekend, like. But they invited us out to play in the New York final, which was kind of the done thing. You could fly lads in, and it was kind of illegal, like, all right, you know.
Just fly them into the match.
Oh yeah, like we left Shannon on the Thursday morning flight and landed at Kennedy, nicely steamed now after getting plenty free booze on the Aer Lingus flight going across, like, and this lad collecting us for training that night in some park. And, like, we literally house and have a quick cold shower and get down to the pitch and go training, like, you know. So, but look, we lost the final to Limerick, but your Limerick heard that myself and Doyle were after arriving, the Limerick club, and they flew half of Galway over. Joe Rabbit arrived, Brian Hanley from Athenry, they were all going in on the Friday because they heard we had arrived in Woodlawn. Okay. Like, so, look, there was even a Clare lad outside the grounds, John Kennedy, who I nearly played under 21 with. He was outside shouting at us that we were illegal outside Gaelic Park. Mortified going in, like. I kind of blame my performance on John Kennedy. But needless to say, neither myself or Doyle were invited back to New York for another match. Anyway.
Come here, Dalo. Do you think we'll see hurling this year?
Look, I don't know, Alan, and I'd probably be 40-60 that we won't. But I'd be inclined to go down the route of, look, some lads are saying call it now, and I'm inclined to say we shouldn't call it now. You know, it's the middle of May. Why do we have to call it now? You know, that there is a good chance that you could get a winter All-Ireland, a winter club championship, and we might have to start back with club. I don't know. I thought John Kiley's article in the Examiner today really was, you know, he summed it up very well. If there's any threat to anyone's health at home or any player, we don't go next or near it. But in 10 or 11 weeks' time, if we've the all clear in Ireland and we're right on top and there's no new cases, there's no, the help of God, there's no deaths of any sort from Corona, we might be able to proceed. And why should we call it now and be regretting it then maybe in October? Because we virtually have 2 all-weather stadiums now in Croke Park and the new Páirc Uí Chaoimh, Alan, because since Páirc Uí Chaoimh relayed, now I know there's a lot of problems down there, but I was there for the opening night of the league this year and the pitch is the exact same as Croke Park now. It'll be the same in July as it would be in January or December. So we literally have 2 fantastic stadiums now that could take an awful lot of games. I suppose the complication is with football, hurling and everything, could we fit everything in? But I'd be inclined to, look, I do a lot of old phone call and I've got involved in the Clare COVID response team over the last month. And, you know, I talk to a lot of older people, Alan, and to kill that hope that they'd have to be able to watch Clare in a Munster semi-final later on in the year, even if it was November, and they could sit down in front of their TV and watch that. I think we should hold that for the time being, and let's see how things develop. If it's going to be any threat, I don't think anybody, any hurler, any manager, any club player, any intercounty player is going to have a problem with it being called off for the year.
Yeah.
But who knows what this holds? It's changing every day and every week, isn't it? And how we get on from Monday on is huge.
Yeah, and I'd be of the same opinion as you in terms of the soccer as well. That's what I've been saying to people, that what's the rush? We can still delay it out to September and play it all through the winter as a one-off, and you'll still, because we've time on our side as well as the Summer League, something like the Gaelic. So that would be my view as well. Dalo, you've been an absolute star, and I really appreciate your time. You know I'm a big fan, and it's been great to chat to you, and I'll be chatting to you soon.
Likewise, bud, and I next see you on the Boar's Head with the help of God.
Exactly, and will you tell Una thanks a million as well?
We'll give a shout out to Una. She's probably listening somewhere in the house.
Thanks a million, Dalo.
Good luck, Al.